Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. Authority Control Task List. This is Yoel Kortick from Libris, November 24th, and a few preliminary activities before we actually begin. The presentation that we will be using, I will send that out to everybody right now. Everybody has the link now sent to their chat. And also, I want to point out again what we've pointed out a couple of times is inside the Libris Group Com page, if you just type Libris Group Com education at the end of the URL, you'll get to the Education and Knowledge Sharing Webinars page. It'll automatically redirect right to here. All you have to do is put education at the end. I'm sending that out to everybody as well. And on this page, you've got the upcoming webinars, which you can also filter by product. For example, all the ALMA upcoming webinars, all on one page. And we've also got the on-demand showing all of the recordings of the previous sessions. For example, the Authority Control Task List in Chinese, still in the upcoming, the on-demand here. This is all of the upcoming. We had a wonderful session last week, you might recall, about what's new in ALMA acquisitions. Rave reviews over that webinar. So here you've got the recording. Okay, so let's go dive right in to the Authority Control Task List. Now, the general purpose of the Authority Control Task List is to enable the institution to see what's going on with their authorities. There are cases where authority records, or let's say bibliographic headings, will not link to an authority record, and there are very specific reasons for that. It might be that it's an ambiguous heading. We'll talk about that. It might be that there's a bibliographic heading inside a Library of Congress subject heading that doesn't match a Library of Congress authority heading. There can be many reasons. And then, of course, there are also headings which do match an authority record. And it's possible to get a list of those, all of those authority records. So that's what the Authority Control Task List does. We're going to jump in. Before we jump in, I want to point out here, you all have the link to the presentations, and there's a section here in the online help, which is referred to in the presentation, which lists all of the different types of tasks in the task list. And let's just jump right in now and take a look at those. So I'm going to go into ALMA. And let me go here to the Authority Control Task List. Oops, what happened to my browser? There we go. Authority Control Task List. Now, how do we access the Authority Control Task List? From the Resources menu, I'm in the ALMA interface, not the Configuration interface. If I click down here, I'll go to Configuration, but I'm not in Configuration right now. I'm in ALMA. And from within here, you go to Resources, and under Resources, there's a link to the Authority Control Task List, right under Cataloging here on the top. So I'm going to click there, and that brings us into the Authority Control Task List. Okay, it looks like all of our technical difficulties from previously have been fixed. Okay, so these are the various report types here. Rather than putting all of these different report types in the presentation, which we're looking at, and which you all have a link to, I want to point out here that they're all listed here in the online help. And the first one, which we want to look at, is called linking bib heading found no matching OT headings right here. And it says here, this option references attempts to find a link between a heading in the bibliographic record and an authority record. When no matching authority record is found, you may want to review the information in the bibliographic record. So let's take a look at that and see what's going on. And I've got two different environments here that we're going to look at, so we get a variety of what's happening. And while we're doing that, we're going to look at different options here for faceting and filtering. So we're in a review tab. We're going to talk about the two tabs soon. Just note right now we're in the review tab. And the first report type we're going to is linking bib heading found no matching AUT records. So someone put in a record, a heading, for example, in a 650 with an indicator 0, meaning it's a Library of Congress subject heading, but there is no Library of Congress authority record for that heading. So that's just an example. So let's do some facets here. Right now we have 1,790 tasks. We're going to talk about at the end how to remove tasks from here. And within this vocabulary, we'll choose Library of Congress subject headings, LCSH, where there are 54. Then we can choose also which field do we want to work on. For example, let's work on field 650. So on the top left, let me undo that. I didn't quite point it out very clearly. Right here on the top left, among the facets, I'm going to click on the 650. So now we have all of the authority records for field 650, Library of Congress subject headings, and let's say we want those which are not linked to the community zone. So here I'll click no. And now we have enough examples. We could also change the submit date range. And let's take a look at what's happening here. So according to this authority control task list, there was a record which was updated on November 23rd, just yesterday. Ah, yes, because I ran a bunch of jobs yesterday. And if we go look at this, Asia economic conditions is in a 650 field. Let's click edit here and watch what's going to happen. Edit for this one will bring me to the bibliographic record, and the specific heading, which in this case is Asia economic conditions, will be highlighted in a slightly different color. I'm going to scroll down. There it is, Asia economic conditions. Now, what we have here is somebody cataloged Asia economic conditions with a 0 in the second indicator of a 650, which all of us as professional librarians here are aware that when there's a 0 in the second indicator of the 650, that means it's supposed to be a Library of Congress subject heading. So, however, there is no Asia economic conditions in Library of Congress. If I type F3 or if I hit F3 here, it brings up the list of searching Library of Congress, and we'll see that there's no text, which is exactly Asia economic conditions. As you see here, there's Asia Central, Asia Dollar, Asia Pacific, Asia Scholars, etc. So in this case, the librarian would go through here and decide, oh, maybe I should do something differently. Maybe I should get rid of this dash. I'm just playing around here to see. Or maybe he's going to do economic conditions in a subfield Z, geographic subdivision Asia. Could be many things. In any case, I'm going to cancel here. In any case, we arrive to a record where there is something cataloged as a certain type of heading, and it's not really that type of heading. And that was identified for us through the authority control task list. Let's try a different example with different facets. So I'm going to undo these facets. I can click one at a time to undo them, or I can just say clear all, and they're all out of there. So I could choose a different vocabulary here. Or I could just go through the whole list of 1,880, or I could go through here. So for example, GND. Here's a GND. Some of you who are joining, I know use GND. And again, we have things in fields which are listed as GNDs. That would mean there's a second indicator 7 with a subfield 2 GND, subfield 7 denoting that the vocabulary is in subfield 2, specified in subfield 2, and subfield 2 will have the GND. Let's go take a look at that and see what's happening. I just got to keep getting rid of this scroll bar, which gets in my way from the WebEx. There we go. Okay, and let's say we want to get one in the 650 field. So I'll facet on the top left by 650. And then on the bottom here, I already got all of them are not linked to the community zone. Okay, I could also, by the way, filter this by only those with linked inventory of type physical, of type digital, of type electronic, etc. I've only got 8 here, so it's okay. All right, let's take a look here. If I take a look at this one, the Ukrainian question, the Russian Empire, etc., with national Bewegungen, you'll have to excuse my lack of proper German pronunciation. We'll click edit here. And in a moment, we'll see a 650 for GND. There it is. Looking here, if there's something like that in the community zone, and there isn't, there's National AUS, there's National Bank. This is National Bewegung. We have to have some type of a different spelling or something here if there's no match, or the record could have been changed, by the way. I should point out all entries that go into the authority control task list go when jobs are run in the evening, for example, for the preferred term correction in the link bib headings. It could be, there are cases, I'm not saying this is one, but there could be cases where a record will be changed after it gets to the authority control task list, and it will still be in the task list until the next evening. Let's take a look at another example here. Then I'm going to stop and take a look at the chats. I'm going to come back to the authority control task list. Actually, I've got another environment too. Let's take a look at this other environment so we get a variety. And again, we'll go to the same report type, which is linking bib heading found no matching AUT records. And let's see here. Let that keep spinning. This one's got 106,000 in there. Okay. And let's say, again, we want to do, let's do LC names this time. LC names. And let's say we want them in the 100 field. And so here, somebody put Foley L&E in the 100 field, and there was no matching heading. I'm going to remove this column here, AUT originating system ID. Everybody knows how to manage the column displays. We don't want that appearing, just so we have more room to show everybody. Okay, so let's take a look here. Edit. And Foley Ellen, a lot of comments coming in. So here's the Foley Ellen-E that we just saw in the task list. And you can see here, it's not linked to anything. There's no icon of a binoculars next to it, meaning it's not linked to anything. And if someone were to do F3 and get to the list, they would see that there's no Foley Ellen-E here. So that's the authority records excuse me, the bibliographic headings that are not linked to authority records. These, by the way, someone asked in a previous session why something is partially linked. The partially linked, it's not related to our subject today exactly, although it does relate, of course, to authority control. The partially linked means the XYZ subdivisions are also being used, but they're not part of the actual authority record. For example, medical anthropology, Senegal, St. Louis, those are two geographic subdivisions which are not in here. So it's linked partially. It's linked to the subfield A, but not via the Z's also. Okay, let me go take a look at all of these chats that have come in. It's nice to see so much. Is that a half of a binocular for the partially linked, someone asks? I've never seen that before. Yes, it's a half of a binocular. It actually looks like a telescope, if you ask me. But it could be half of a binoculars. And that means, like I just pointed out, that it's partially linked because it has X, Y, or Z, but the authority record does not have an X, Y, or Z. I noticed that you are using the old metadata editor. The new metadata editor sometimes doesn't highlight the changed heading. Okay, I am going to note that down. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm just going to save that comment right here so we can note that as we work on the new metadata editor. Okay, back to our regular program. Okay, so someone else points out here that the Asian economic conditions that wasn't found, someone should have cataloged it with a 651 second indicator 0, Asia economic conditions. Okay, so thank you for pointing that out. Someone else asks, so the job will look at the records again and will clear the line if the record was corrected? That is correct. If something gets fixed, the next time the preferred term correction job runs, it will get removed from here. How come all the dollar signs are double dagger signs in your metadata editor? Okay. It's possible in Alma to define whatever you would like as a delimiter, and some institutions have defined the $2. Many institutions have defined the double dagger. Those who came from Voyager tend to stay with the double dagger like this. Those who came from Aleph tend to stay with the $dollar. Most of America, as far as I know, has a $dollar. Some of Europe has a $dollar, and some have the double dagger. It's just because it's an institutional definition, and different institutions define different things. Someone else asks, will leading, trailing, or spaces in a heading cause mismatches? Spaces, no. Spaces will not cause a mismatch because if you try as hard as you want to put in double spaces, it won't, you can't put in more than one space. Double spaces automatically get packed when you save a record, and therefore it's not an issue for the matching. If I were to have a record here, for example, by Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In, and try to put in too many spaces, they'll get packed anyway. Let me just show you that as this opens here. There we go. And now I'm in the new metadata editor. So I can see here, if someone were to try here, it's too low on my cataloging. I got to sign out of this person. My cataloging level, it says there is too low. I'm going to go in as someone with a really high level. This is the senior cataloger in the institution I'm going in as now. Okay. Lean In Sandberg. Okay. So here, if someone were to try to catalog by accident too many spaces, now I'm scared. Maybe it's not going to happen. Scroll down. Ah, they don't get packed in here. They do get packed at one stage. In any case, we'll take a look there. If I were to do this, let's take a look. Right now it's linked. When I save it, it does not. Let's see if it gets unlinked. No, it still links. So the spaces do not affect it. Whereas if I had different characters in here and saved it, it does get unlinked. So the answer is extra spaces will not cause it to not get linked. Oh, they get packed in the matching mechanism. That's why. These spaces get packed when the text gets normalized. We're kind of getting off our subject, but why not? When there's a comparison of the bibliographic heading with the authority record, both headings get normalized. Extra spaces get packed to one space. Things go into lowercase. Signs such as parentheses and these get changed to nothing. We're going to see an example of that shortly. So spaces is not an issue. We saw that 100% just now. Okay, I'm going to go on here because a lot of interest, which is very nice, but we do want to cover some more. Okay. Is there a report in the authority control task list for partial linked headings? No, there's not. It's a fairly new one. Will directionality characters affect the match? Also, no. Although, would you have that on both ends? No, you wouldn't. The directionality characters do not affect the match. For those who are not aware, right to left languages such as Hebrew and Arabic have the ability to put inside the heading a UTF value such as 202A, which is right to left, and that will affect the display of the record. It does not affect the matching of the authority record. Okay, let's now continue on. A lot of nice comments coming in, but unfortunately, we only have 1 hour. Okay, now we have another type. Let's go take a look at that one. I'm going to go back to Resources, Authority Control Task List. And I'm going to do that in all of my different environments. Resources, Authority Control Task List. And here also I've got Resources, Authority Control Task List. So now we're going to look at one called Preferred Term Correction. Bib heading found no authorized term. And let's go see what that's officially defined as here. Bib heading found no authorized term. Option refers to updates of the bibliographic record with the value of the preferred term of the linked authority record. And the main thing is that it's a non-preferred term which has a different second two digits as the preferred term. So one might be a name and one might be a subject, one might be a series, one might be a corporate name, one might be a personal name. They're mixed together, and we'll see examples right now. So let's go take a look. Here we are, and let's choose that one. So now we'll go to report type, and we'll choose preferred term correction. Bib heading found no authorized term. There we are. And let's take, for example, let me go here. I'm going to take the last 30 days. Just so I get a couple more options here. And let's take, for example, Shetland series in the 830. Edit. And let's see what's going on here. All of these examples are in the PowerPoint as well. So 830 Shetland series, you can see it's green. And if we go look at this, so here's the Shetland series. That's why it matched. This means it's linked to a bib record, but it didn't change to the authorized term. So we have a 430 here with a 100. So because the second two sets of digits are different, the heading does not get updated. Now I could put in here whatever I want, Cleves and here, which I see they already have, or remove the field, or I could just leave it and say, fine, I don't really care. But I'm alerted that I have a heading which is linked to an authority record, and that heading did not change to the preferred term. The preferred term correction could not change it. If now I got rid of this, it wouldn't be there anymore tomorrow. Someone asks, is the bib record correct or should it change? I would look at it a different way. Is the authority record correct? I would say the bibliographic record is correct, but we don't want to get into a philosophical discussion here. I would say there's something a little amiss. Let's use that word, amiss, on the authority record. But let's leave that alone. We've got ones in here with 380s, 430s, 100s, 400s. The 100 and the 400 look like a nice match for each other, and then all of a sudden there's some 430s in there. Okay. Yeah, and if I dismissed it, it wouldn't show anymore. And we're going to dismiss at the end. We're going to do a whole section here. Let's just see. Someone writes here. I want to see. That's we can all learn from each other. So somebody writes here, standard practice. You see, I never mention people's names, so feel free to send in whatever kind of chat you want. No one will know it's you. So someone writes in, standard practice would be to remove the 830 and leave the 800. Okay, thanks for pointing that out. Okay, now let's go on. I'm going to go back here. Let's see if we can get another example. I know there's a nice example all around the world of ghost hunters. Ghost hunters has become a very popular one. There we go, ghost hunters. It's a popular bib heading found no authorized term, edit. So let's see what's going on here. Scroll down, there it is, and 830. And here's our ghost hunters. And here again, we have a 100 with a 430. What would be the standard practice here? Let me ask that same person who sent in the other standard practice. What would you recommend the official cataloger do here? Who is the author of the bib? Oh. Okay, the author of the bib is Cornelia Caroline Funk, as we see. Okay. No, not a match. All right. So what would we do? Delete the 830? Okay. In any case, anyone can do what they would like. The purpose of the authority control task list is you've been alerted that this happens. Let's move on actually, because time is precious. Now we have another one, ambiguous. Let's go see what is the official explanation here for the ambiguous. Ambiguous. Okay, linking bibliographic heading found multiple match authority records, ambiguous. This issue may occur as a result of times, for example, when the Library of Congress splits one subject heading into two. Okay, we're going to see some examples of that right now. So, linking bib heading found, here it is. In some cases, multiple matches are found. You need to review the possible matches. Let's take a look. So back here, back to the authority control task list. And let's choose that one here. Linking, bib heading found multiple matching AUT headings. Okay. And let's go to, let's get an LC names here. And let's get a field 100. And let's get a last 30 days we already have. And let's see one here. Let's take, am I showing 20 or 50? I'm showing 50. Okay. So let's take Chen Zhedong. Here we are, and we see it's not matched to anything. F3. Sorry about that. Here. You'll have to excuse me. Sorry about that again. Okay, let's take another one. Was I in the correct one here? You'll have to excuse. Linking, bib heading found, multiple matching AUT. Okay. And let's try Tommy Laris. Excuse me, Larry Thomas. I'm going to try that here. I apologize. I'm trying a different place. And ambiguous. Linking bib heading found multiples. Let's get LC names for field 100. Oh, I know what happened before. Okay. The reason here, okay, it's a good opportunity to point something out. The reason here I don't see these is because I, by chance, got records which are linked to the community zone. I even have in my notes here to do link to community zone, no. Okay, now I'll take one of these. Sam Coley, edit. I have it in my notes and I didn't read my notes. Okay, so he brings me right to it, and you can see there's multiple Sam Coleys here. Now, in both of them even have a star next to them, meaning they're a preferred term. So if I look at this one, we have Coley Sam in a 100 field, and now I'm going to look at the second one, and we also have Coley Sam. So Alma doesn't know. They're both LC names with Coley Sam. So Alma can't tell which one should I match to, and therefore tells the user, go figure it out yourself and decide which one you want. Let's take a look at another example. I'm going to point out one more time why in my previous two examples, when I clicked it, I couldn't find, when I did F3, nothing happened. Previously, I did not facet by link to community zone, no. If it's a record that's linked to the community zone, I cannot do editing on it, or let's say I can do editing technically. I can't do F3 on it. Let's take a look at another example here. Let's take Charlie Kerrigan. Now watch when I do edit. In the previous cases when I did edit, it would open a bib record. Now when I'm doing edit, it's bringing me to the list for F3. And again, you can see multiple cases of Charlie Kerrigan, two of them here. I'm going to click the first one. You see him on the first one? And this is Charlie Kerrigan, Virgil's Map, ESIP title page. The second one I'm going to do view on, this is Charlie Kerrigan, Latin Literature, History, and Criticism. So there's two Charlie Kerrigans here with different 372s, no dates. So there's no way Alma would know automatically what to do. Now, one of our colleagues here points out that appears to be a miss by Library of Congress if the two headings are the same. Needs to be fixed at LCNAF, Library of Congress Name Authority file. Good to know. Okay, so it's an issue there with the vocabulary. People never want to hear it's not an Alma problem, but Alma is using these vocabularies. The vocabularies have duplicate headings in them, and therefore there's no way Alma can know what to do. Let's take a look here at this environment. Someone else writes, these can be in the LC too. Okay, thanks. Let's take a look here again. Oh, these are all linked to the community zone. We don't want that. So I'm going to get out of the 100s. Going to get out of the LC names here and do it. And let's say here, we'll make our submit date range be the last 30 days. First, I'm going to say not linked to the community zone. And oh, these are interesting vocabularies. Ensagi and recat. Let's take a look at one of these. Edit. Okay, so here we have two of them. MC, I'm not going to pronounce the French. View. So this one's got here, just like that. And the second one I'm going to click on, it's a local one. So they have a global one and a local ones with the same exact thing here, view. And here it is, the same exact. One in a non-preferred, one in a preferred. It's like the opposite. Okay, I think that covers the ambiguous. Let me just see if there's any questions or comments from anybody. And I'm going to go into the chat and see if there's anything we didn't take about that one. Oh, someone even pointed out that I was looking at the CKB records. Thank you for pointing that out. And someone asks, what is the purpose of the authority control task list? To move away from checking authorities of all new bibliographic records with usual cataloging checks? No, it's not that you no longer need to check. It's to give you a picture of what's going on with your authorities and to alert you of those headings which you would have expected to be linked or updated and haven't been linked or updated. You would expect that if a cataloger put something in a 650 with the second indicator 0, that it would match to a Library of Congress subject heading. Or you would expect that somebody put into a 100 and you're using LC names in your institution, that it would link to LC names, and it didn't. Or in the case we're coming to now, perhaps an authority record was deleted and the bib record gets unlinked. Perhaps you want to go look and see if it should be linked manually to a different one. Let's go take a look. So we have another one here, another report type, AUT record deleted, unlinked bib record. And let's say here we want LC names. They're all LC names, but we'll do it there anyway. Let's say we want field 700. Let's say we want link to community zone no. And let's see what we got here. Let's say I take this one here and I say edit. Okay, so it's green. And you can see now it's not linked to anything. It used to be linked to one. And since then, that authority record has been deleted. So therefore, it's not linked to anything. It used to be, but now it's not. So someone could, if they wanted, do F3, see if there's something similar. Maybe there's the same name with parentheses after it or something. There's a lot of them here with different dates. And there's also an illustrator, a museum curator. Oh, no, that's Shuling. Yeah, Shuling. Yeah, so we got a 1956, then we got an illustrator, then we got a museum curator. Let's take another example. Let's look at Hiroshi Ono or Hen Shuping. This was Hen Shuling. This is Hen Shuping. Edit. Now, sometimes it is, by the way, linked, but it'll say inside the authority record that it was split. Here we are. This one is linked. It could have been linked since after it went to the task list, but let's see what's going on here. Okay, and it says it was formerly under a different one, formerly on another one. So whatever it was linked to one that at another time was deleted. And let's go to one other environment here just to take a look. Back to resources, authority control task list. Wow, it's already 10 to 4. And here too, we can say authority record deleted, unlinked bib heading. And so here we've got two of them, but they're both linked to the community zone. So we're not going to start looking at those. Let's say last 30 days just to see what's going on. Okay, so these also we saw when we went in on the other environment. They were linked to an authority record. The authority record was deleted. I'm going to go to the All tab for a moment because I want to show something in the All. Until now, we've been working in the Review tab. In the All tab, there's something else here, which is Preferred Term Correction Bib Heading Updated. Now, this is just a list of all of the headings which have been linked. The job ran, there's 2 jobs that run every evening. Let me show you those jobs. Admin, monitor jobs. They're under the section repository. Scheduled. and repository. So there's a job authority link bib headings and authorities preferred term corrections. These in this environment where I am now, they run every day at 4 in the morning and 8 in the morning. First, the link is done, and then the preferred term correction when necessary is done. Now, back to here, to the authority control task list. And when we go to the All tab, it defaults to the Review tab. When we go to the All tab, we have a list of all of those that the bib heading was updated from the preferred term correction. That means, for example, here, let's find one with a real difference in there. Johnson, Greg, okay. So there's ways, here's a nice one. It changed from Palmer Kent to Palmer KL Kent L. And if I look at this bib record, that means the authority record changed, or to put it more exact, it changed probably, we're going to see in a minute, from a non-preferred to a preferred. How can we see that? We'll go to Tools, View Versions, and take a look. So here, let's say Tools, View Versions, and we'll compare the previous version with the current version. I'll view this one. And here in the 100 and here in the 100. Beautiful. So on the left, you can see Palmer KL Kent LE artist, and here it's just Palmer Kent because it's linked to an authority record, and it went and took the preferred term from the authority record. I click now the binoculars, and here's the full one now, and here's the Palmer Kent, and it changed to the preferred. Okay. So everything I showed until now is in this PowerPoint. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but everything I showed is in here. I showed you how to facet while we were faceting. We looked at how to view the different tabs. We looked at how to do it by different dates. But now I want to go all the way to the end to a section called Editing Tasks and Process Changes. So at some stage, we already did edit, and we saw that you can go into the record when you do edit. At some stage, you'll want to start getting rid of these. Or you can just leave them there. But providing you don't want to just leave them there, let me just log into this one again. Okay. And we'll go to Resources, Authority Control Task List. Okay, so I could select everything on the page and say dismiss selected. Right now I have 626,715, and now I have 626,665. Or I can select certain ones, of course, and dismiss selected. Or I could, from the action line, dismiss it. Now, someone asked in one of the last sessions what the view hidden is. The view hidden exists not only in the authority control task list, but in many places in the user interface. And that simply shows, view hidden, the columns which I've hidden in the configuration. You'll see here what happens. I have tag, AUT, originating system ID, and brief level. And that's because here I have hidden those. Okay, let me see what kind of questions and comments we've got. Everything here has been covered despite our tough time at the beginning. And let me go into the chat. A lot of chats. Wow. Wow, that's a long one. Many thanks for a good intro. Authority control rules are useful, particularly for smaller libraries. Authority control rules. You know, we've been planning to do that. Authority control rules. Very okay. I'm going to put that one down also in my comments. Authority control rules webinar idea. Okay. Thank you. I found preferred term correction based on punctuation a problem. There's a whole method. It says the ALMA option for punctuation does not seem to follow common practice, although that may be changing in the US. There is, maybe we should talk about the punctuation too, because there's all different ways. For more information related to preferred term corrections, see add punctuation for heading for punctuation configuration options. There are ways to play around with the punctuation. There were a lot of complaints when the authority control task list first came out that there were all of the lists there with the changes in punctuation, which is not really a significant change that people want to start looking at. You can play around with it somewhat. Take a look here. Maybe that'll do it. If not, more can be done. Okay. Conflicts within a file, not between files. Okay. That looks like a continuation of something else. Okay, so someone asked, could we get a report that looks directly at the authority files for conflicts of the 1XX, 4XX, 1XXX, and reports them out, useful for NACO and SACO libraries? The authority control task list does not go through the authority records themselves unless there's some type of connection between those authority records and the bibliographic headings. So no, there is no built-in report to automatically get every authority record that has different last two digits between a preferred term and a non-preferred term. Let me go on here. If I will run the same report after fixing the authority a day after, will it be deleted without me deleting it? Dismissing it, yes. When undifferentiated name authorities are deleted, they leave orphans previously linked in ALMA. I'm not quite sure I follow that. Let me put it out here and read it again. Someone writes, when undifferentiated name authorities are deleted, they leave orphans previous link. You mean there's a link to nothing when you say orphans? Like a someone without a parent? Okay. The linked authority is deleted, so yes. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Someone writes, thanks. Okay. I find many duplications in the authority task list. Is there any way Alma can sort these duplications or not create duplications? Well, there is one way to sort. These columns can be sorted. We didn't cover that, but I wanted to go here. Here. All of these columns could be sorted. Not all of them, excuse me. Some of the columns could be sorted. And then you'll have not duplicates. I'm not sure exactly which duplicates you're referring to, but you can sort the title. Nothing else is built in regarding the duplicates. These can also be, by the way, exported to Excel, and you can play around with them in Excel as well. Okay, I see we're past our ending time. I apologize for that technical difficulty at the beginning, but we seem to have gotten through that. Apparently, I was connected the whole time, but just couldn't find it on my PC. So thanks, everyone, for joining us. And if you have suggestions for other webinars, let us know. And we look forward to seeing you in our other webinars. Have a nice day, everybody.